Hey there, what if I told you two things that totally contradict what you've been told about health? Would that be interesting? Would you stay to find out? Hi there, Dr. Brian here. It's Thursday and I'm home after a great day. And on my drive, I listened to a really interesting interview on valuetainment with Dr. Tom Cowan. He spent 35 years in practice, not working with medicine, but treating people with an array of illnesses. And so he's working to help the body heal itself. So he quoted two documented in the literature experiments that quite confound what we think we know. So one was conducted in 1919 by the Boston Health Department, which was during the Spanish flu. And so, that was quite deadly. A lot of people got very sick and died. And so they were trying to work out how contagious it was, because it seemed to be very contagious because clusters of people got it, and relative to today's world where it was given an R0 value of about 1.8. And it went around the world 3 times in 18 months and killed 20 million people, or some epic number. So to discover the contagibility, you could say, or the ease of contracting it, they actually got 100 healthy volunteers who obviously had a very generous heart, and they got sick people who had raging symptoms, and they divided 100 people into 3 different groups. And one group, they got them to breathe heavily into the open mouth of the sick person sitting opposite them for 10 minutes. Another group, they coughed into the open mouth of the people sitting opposite. And a third group, cover your ears, they took snot, mucus out of the runny noses of the sick people and put it into the noses of the healthy people. So that's 3 groups of 33 people. And at the end of that, what was the outcome? How many people were sick? You'd be forgiven for thinking that 99 of them were sick. No, only one person was sick with a runny nose. None of the other people got sick. So that raises a question about, is it contagious, and what's the method of transmission and what's really going on? So they, interestingly, in view of the experiment and what we currently believe around how, a droplet's enough to kill you, they concluded that the reason that only one person was sick is that they weren't robust enough in their efforts to infect the people with, breath, spittle, and snot. So there's something going on there that is arguably undermining the concept of the transmission of bacteria as a germ, as a sickness. The other thing that is related is heart disease. So if you go to 1920, we'll talk America because that was what he was referencing. Heart disease was extremely rare. It was almost non-existent. And all the cookbooks, if you opened them from that era, they really talked about bacon and eggs for breakfast, that the staples of a good kitchen for health were fresh eggs, fresh cream, fresh butter, and lard. All of these things were essential for a good, well-stocked kitchen to produce healthy people. 25 years later, in the mid-40s, we're already seeing a steep increase in heart disease. And that's not a genetic change in 25 years, it's barely a generation. So it's not genetics per se. But what occurred concurrently was the beginning of, if you like, the industrialization of food production and the use of the early fledgling agricultural chemistry industry. And things were used on the farms then that we now have banned because they're so toxic, DDT, etc. So I found this quite interesting. And so Dr. Tim Cohen's central hypothesis, and he's treated people with near 100% success over 35 years, was that, or is, that toxicity is the problem. And when we make the cells in the body toxic, then they do whatever they need to become detoxified. And sometimes that is causing what we call illness. And other times it causes just the breakdown of cells and tissue. So you end up with arthritis. And it's well established inside natural health circles that arthritis is a gut and food issue. But it's probably really gut, food and pollution and toxicity and allergy issue. So I found that really interesting, and it really, for me, supports the idea that the body is uniquely intelligent. Every cell is intelligent. Every cell has a level of consciousness. And so the body is always doing the right thing, and it's doing everything it can so that we wake up tomorrow as healthy as we can be. Mostly we keep putting gasoline on the fire and are quite bewildered that the fire doesn't go out. So very interesting, certainly food for thought, food for follow-up. I'm thinking I will do some research and put some sort of downloadable into this clip over the weekend so that it will be here for you. So we'll probably have to, you might have to subscribe with subscribe buttons so that you can become part of an email list. That's probably the best way to get around it. So it's been a most interesting day, and I'm always excited to learn new stuff that helps me understand better how the body works and why it's doing what it's doing, because one of the things I hold really it's central to how I work is that the body doesn't make mistakes and the body knows what it's doing. We have almost always created the situation consciously or unconsciously through the three main toxic loads, which are environment, the air, things like electromagnetic, because the body is subtly electrical. That's what an EEG and ECG tells us, or the EMG I do on the back muscles every day. Toxic thoughts, we know from Bruce Lipton, it changes how the cells behave and how they reproduce. The DNA replicates. So really interesting stuff, and looking forward to delving into it further to help all of us understand better how to get more out of life. Remembering that when you're super healthy, you thrive and just don't get sick. Okay, all the best.